was the same one.
Well, hello. Nice of you to drop in. We'd like to welcome our viewers on YouTube. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. But we're glad you're with us. We are still in Job. We're going to start on chapter 27. We have our Never Will Be Ready for Prime Time players ready to go. Job will be doing most of the talking. We'll have a little bit of commentary from our commentator. And we're going to have a good time to discuss a lot of this and see how we can relate to it, or how it relates to us, or maybe someone we know. But in and through this, we'll have hopefully some significant learnings to take with us. So you all ready?
All right.
Wait a minute. Let's pray. Loving God, thank you for this beautiful day you've given us. Lord, thank you that you have called us, and not only called us, but have brought us here. And Lord, may we do all that is pleasing in your sight, and in doing so, may we learn, and may this strengthen us in our walk. This is what we pray in Jesus' holy and precious name. Amen. Well, commentator, not just a regular tater, not an unusual tater, but maybe just a commentator.
Bildad had made it clear that since God is holy, no man can stand righteous in his sight. The corollary to this proposition is that God is obligated to punish people for their sins. Otherwise, he would not be a righteous God. If Job is suffering, it must be that Job is sinning. So Job continues.
My God, who lives and has deprived me of justice, the highest one who has embittered my soul, I make this proclamation, that while there is life in me, while the breath of the self-same God is in my nostrils, my lips will not let lies escape, and my tongue will not form deceit. So I will concede that you three are right. Until the day I die, I will not abandon my integrity just to appease you. On the contrary, I'll assert my innocence and never let go. My heart will not mock my past or my future.
In the East, it was not enough for accused people simply to affirm their innocence. They also felt compelled to call down the wrath of God on those who said they were guilty. This type of prayer is found in the imprecatory Psalms, Psalms 58, 69, and 137. In that, they are a prayer for God's judgment on his enemies. Who were Job's enemies? Anybody who agreed with Job's three friends that he was guilty of sin and deserved to be punished by God. While this conversation had been going on, many people had likely gathered around the ash heap and listened to the debate, and most of them probably sided with Bildad, Zophar, and Eliphaz. Job could see the spectators nod their heads in agreement with his friends, and he knew that he was outnumbered. For us today, Job's words might sound cruel, but Job lived before the Mosaic law was given, let alone Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. So what we have been taught by Jesus and Paul concerning forgiving our enemies should not be expected. It is also important that we remember that twice God has declared Job to be blameless and upright, and one who feared God and shuns evil.
May my enemy be counted as the wicked and my adversary as the unjust. For what hope does he who is sullied and impure have once God tops him off from life and requires his soul? Will God listen to his cry when he is overtaken by distress? Will he have made the highest one his pleasure after the fact? Will he have marked the seasons with his cause to God once it is too late? Let me show you what I have learned of God's power. I assure you I will not cover over the true nature of the highest one's ways. Look, you have all seen the same things I have seen here. Why then all this vain nonsense? Indeed, Zophar listened closely to what the wicked of humanity will inherit from God. This is the heritage the highest one bequeaths to those who oppress. If the children of the wicked multiply, they meet their end at the blade of the sword. And even if they are fat with surplus, the descendants of the wicked will be starved for bread. Those who survive will fall to disease and be buried. Many of the widows will not mourn their deaths. Those who heap pile up money as if it were common dirt, clothing in heaps like mounds of clay. What he may prepare, the righteous will wear. The silver he sets aside, the innocent will divide. He builds his house doomed to
Impermanence.
impermanence. Like the moth's cocoon, like the field watchman's lean-to that is dismantled after the harvest. He lies down to sleep in wealthy man, but never again, for when he opens his eyes in the morning, all is gone. Terrors overtake him as if they were floodwaters. The tempest snatches him away in the dead of night. Indeed, the softer east winds lifts him up and away. He is gone, swept off the place he knew as his own. He will have blown against him pitilessly, and he tries to flee from the fast closing hand. As a final humiliation, he claps his hands against him as a man would, sneering, hissing at him as he leaves.
Good. Thank you, Joe.
Sure.
Another Oscar-winning performance. Like he lies down to sleep, a wealthy man, but never again. When he opens his eyes to morning, all is gone. And so then, as he gives that comparison, then he again talks about the floodwaters, how they rapidly rise. When he says terrors overtake him as if they were floodwaters. Just to paint again that picture, and to remind us how quickly this came upon Job. The other part that I like and sorry I gave you some big words tonight. Expanding the vocabulary.
Expanding my horizon.
Yeah. Let you be all that you could be. No, wait, but that was Army.
Army.
Yeah, never mind. But
How dare he?
That's Army.
But in the commentators part, Job could see the spectators nod their heads in agreement with his friends, and he knew that he was outnumbered. You ever seen that when someone is arguing with someone else, and maybe they're wrong in what they're doing, or they're just getting really radically just worked up for nothing, that there's always a crowd that'll go, you always, let me do it this way. They do this, then they'll do this, and then all of them are doing this. Remember those drinking birds that bob down in it? They all look like that, but not imagery. It's biblical. But have you ever encountered that when someone? If we may talk about this a little bit Sunday, so we're going to talk about a little bit about tradition. You know, that was one of John Wesley's legs of the quadrilateral, but and we've talked about it, how sometimes tradition is good, but sometimes tradition is an anchor, and it's not an anchor in a good way. But and I'm just asking, think about traditions. Think about traditions that you have known about or carried with you, and Sunday we may just talk about a few of them. But so Job did no wrong, but yet his friends who are making some very bold assumptions and proclamations about God according to what they've always heard. And those friends are those people, the onlookers, who were no doubt standing upwind of the burning, the ash and dung heap, but they're all agreeing with his friends. So think about that as how we sometimes, it's us who maybe side with someone because they just sound like they have a really good argument, or maybe we think they're right, but it's good to know both sides, and they only know one side, and it is a very weak stand that they're taking. Anyone else? Any comments?
Well, I'm guilty of knowing somebody is ranting and they're wrong. And I will sit there and I just, Steve gets tickled at me because I tell him, I clucked along today. It's like the chickens. You know, I always said, he says, what'd you do? I said, I clucked along and disagreed with her in my head.
I think of the story our former lay leader told. He was a freshman at Tech, at West Virginia Tech, and he was in a chemistry class. They had their first test. And he got called in after the test, and the professor, a female, accused him of cheating. And she wanted him to sit down and retake the test. And he got it right again. She said, how could you do that? Well, it's because when he attended POCA, he had this teacher who had been a college professor, like he wasn't a clan agent, but anyway, he taught chemistry at POCA for several years, and he had it down. I mean, he was, like I said, he taught college, and so when students left his class, they were ready if they could handle it. And she couldn't believe, next thing you know, he's tutoring.
Where was he when I was there?
Right. He might have been behind you.
I needed help in chemistry.
Everybody does it when you're a freshman.
All right, any other things? Anybody else guilty of going, I mean, right now, we see it on the news all the time. Whatever the most popular argument is, we see people just kind of attaching themselves to it and siding without even needing to know all the details, just going right along. I saw a little snippet of and I do not watch this, don't accuse me of watching, the ladies of The View.
Oh dear.
And they were mad at a country singer because he would not state his political views. And they felt that he needed to do that. And they were all tore up that he would not do that, that he said, I am an entertainer, and my job is to take people's minds off these problems. And they were just so torn up over that. And that's good. I mean, I don't care what my favorite singer or actor or actress thinks. I like them for the parts they play. So
My problem with these people who gang up on another person is it's probably because they're in their own echo chamber.
yeah,
And all they're hearing is the same point of view all the time, and they don't get a chance to see the other side of things. And I mean, it's the fault of social media and the algorithms that continually feed them what they want to hear. We don't get a chance to see opposing views anymore. Nobody reads the newspaper. You know, I know you get the newspaper. Do you?
They don't put anything in it.
Okay. Why do you still get it?
tradition,
Yeah.
history and tradition.
I get it for high school sports, and they're butching that.
Yeah. This next segment brought to you by Ground News.
But yeah, we have such a cancel culture that it's just it's bullying is all it is. You don't agree with my shallow view, then it goes either both ways. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not saying one's right, one's wrong. It's just a trend. I hope it's a trend and I hope it leaves, but it's almost a sickness that,
Mhm.
you know, I have a good argument. Don't confuse me with facts. So. All right, let's move to chapter 28. Hit it.
This celebration of divine wisdom is clearly not a part of the debate between Job and his three reprovers. And the strong scholarly consensus is that it is an editorial interpolation, perhaps with the aim of introducing a pious view of wisdom in this book that is such a radical challenge to the guiding assumptions of wisdom literature. One scholar notes some affinities with the general poetic language of Job and imagines this as an earlier composition by the Job poet, which he decided to enter here as a kind of interlude before Job's final confession of innocence. This is also a good time to remind ourselves that the book of Job is dramatic fiction and does not purport to be history. It is theater designed to voice an alternative reality, which has mostly gone uncriticized. Like all good theater, it is aimed at self-awareness that invites us to see our lives afresh from a new and different perspective.
There's a place where silver is mined, a place where gold is refined. There iron is dug from the earth, and copper is smelted for more. Humans put an end to darkness and search in every last corner for the ore that is in gloom and darkness. In the earth they cut a shaft in a place forgotten. Far from the beaten path, they descend on ropes, swinging dangerously back and forth. The ground above yields food. The earth below is turned as if fire has destroyed it. Where earth gives up sapphires from her rocks and bits of gold from her dirt. No bird of prey knows this way, the secret path down below. No falcon's eye has ever peered into it. No proud beast has ever reached this place. No lordly lion has marched over it. The miner breaks apart flinty stones, uprooting the ancient mountains. He carves tunnels through the rock, revealing precious treasures. He dams up the underground streams until they cease seeping, and he brings out into the light what was hidden there in the darkness. But where is wisdom found, and where does understanding dwell?
Proverbs chapter 1, verses 20 through 33, and chapter 8, verses 3 through 36 give the best articulated picture of wisdom in the Bible. Personified there as Lady Wisdom, this character was created by God long before his creation of the world, which she then aided in. After creation, she wanted nothing more than to be with humanity and help them have full, truthful lives. But here, Job explains that wisdom is now hidden. Certainly, God knows where she is, although he isn't telling. But humans have a better chance of finding immeasurable wealth than of attaining wisdom. This is because she is only found on one road, and that's the God-fearing road of piety. In order to find wisdom, one must allow God to direct him there. And ironically, the knowledge that God must direct lives is wisdom itself.
No human perceives wisdom's true value, nor has she been found in the land of the living. The deep says, she has not been seen within me, nor within me, says the voice of the raging sea. No gold can be given in trade for wisdom, or some silver weighed out as her price. She cannot be bought with all the gold of Ophir, neither with onyx nor sapphire. The shimmer of gold and brightness of glass cannot compare, and no refined gold jewelry is worth her in trade. Perish the mention of coral and crystal, even more than pearls is the value of wisdom. Ethiopian topaz, unequal as well. Even gold, unalloyed, is too paltry indeed. Then from where does this wisdom come? Where does understanding dwell? She is hidden away from every eye, even the birds looking down from the sky. Destruction and death have both confessed. Rumors are all we know about her. God understands wisdom's path and way.
Sorry.
Which one of you? Oh, okay.
God understands wisdom's path and way. Her place is known to him alone. For he gazes out to the edge of the earth, sees all that falls beneath the sky overhead. He lent the wind his weight and force, and measured out the waters of spread. When he set a limit on the rain that falls, and made the thunderbolt a road to race. Then he saw wisdom and made her known. He settled her and searched out a place. And to humankind he said, now fear the Lord is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding.
Did you ever consider the book of Job to be part of the wisdom literature? Huh? I like the even gold unalloyed because they were good about combining metals, and strengthening for spears and shields and such. You know, gold is very soft and malleable, so it really didn't have any other use except for jewelry or some ornate things upon their shields or armor. But I've talked enough. I'm gonna let other people talk. Nobody is allowed to say anything. The other church I was at, when I would say that, I'd always have one leg, right? But it was good. I had to put that in there from one of the books I read to remind us that this is fiction. It has no historical accuracy. It is just, it's a poem, it's a play, and it does teach us a lot if we, listen into it and not try to figure out, what so-and-so looked like or what were they wearing or anything else, but just to listen to what they say.
So the King James Version doesn't have this book in it? Because, most people who take the books literally would argue with you.
Yeah. They'd argue a lot of things. One of the, last week we read that very short chapter. It's only 6 verses. And if you go to the Hebrew Bible, they feel that it's there were some verses that had been either lost or misscribed or something that happened. But they do in the Hebrew Bible. There's I think 6 additional verses that they really pair to another chapter. But it kind of goes along. But it's one of those things that they're guessing. They're trying to figure out if this fits there, because there are a lot of Hebrew words and phrases in Job that they don't quite understand. That its meaning is. I knew better to use those phrases before I came here. I'm leaking. But there's a lot of ambiguity in Job. But overall, the message is very clear. So, Job, you're doing, I'm telling you what, a stellar job.
I heard that a while ago. I
Did
thought
you?
somebody was watching a video of The Exorcist over there.
Well, I didn't know if that was the Lord's voice intervening. I didn't know what that was.
I could almost hear, look at your little girl now, mommy.
That'd be done. Okay. Or we're 29?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go. Action.
The great wisdom of the ages begins with fearing God. It is the evil of the world that clouds our understanding and leads us into foolishness. And Job continues.
Picking up his
By picking up.
You got more work.
chapter 27.
Oh,
Now we're-
see, I was reading the Bible, not this paper,
Wait,
Job
I'm pulling from
continues.
textbooks here.
Job continues by picking up his earlier theme from chapter 27. And we are now back on track with Job's concluding confession of innocence.
And before
And
you
Job
start-
continues.
So before you start, if you go to Proverbs, when it talks about the fear of God is the beginning of
Wisdom.
wisdom. So, now, Joe.
That I were as I once was months ago during the time when God oversaw me, when his lamp shone above my head, and by his light I walked through the darkness. To be in the ripest time of life once more, when the intimacies of friendship with God enfolded my tent, when the highest one was with me and my children encircled me, when my steps were bathed in milk and the rock poured out rivers of olive oil, showering my body. When I went up to the gate of the city, when I took my seat in the town square where the elders meet. There the young saw me and made room for me in deference to elders. The old rose and stood out of respect. The leaders stopped talking and with their hands over their mouths. The voice of the nobles fell to the hush. Their tongues stuck to the roots of their mouth. Every ear that heard me blessed me, and every eye that saw me testified to my greatness. After all, I rescued the poor when they cried out for help, and assisted the orphans when they had no one else.
Great virtue has always begun with the treatment of the poor. Can Job be accused of having a hard heart?
The dying spoke their blessings over me, and the widows sang the joyful songs honoring what I did. I adorned myself in righteousness, and it covered me. My justice fit me like a cloak and turban, conveying both my dignity and my authority. I was the eyes for the blind, the feet for the lame, a father for the needy, and I sought for the cause of whom I did not know. I broke out the fangs of the wicked and wrestled prey from their jaws. Then I said, I will pass from this earth in the comfort of my nest. My days will be more numerous than of beaches and grains of sand. My roots will grow deep, spreading out to the water's edge, and at night the dew will come to rest on my branches. Respect will be accorded to me every day, my skill with the bow always new in my hand. People used to listen to me, a sense of expectation visible on their faces. They waited in silence for my advice. And when I finished, they did not hurry to speak again. They waited while my words dropped like dew upon them. Indeed, they waited for me as one waits for a good rain, and they opened their mouths as if to catch spring showers on their tongues. I smiled upon them when their confidence flagged. They took comfort in beaming in my beaming face. I led them in their way. I sat as their leader. I lived like a king among his troops. I was a happy man, spreading comfort among the mourners.
So he's reflecting back upon his life before all this started. And he was leading a pretty good life. He had the respect, he had all of these things, and he treated people well. Anything else jump out at you? He very well respected. He was very wealthy too.
You wonder with all he lost, his whole family, his children, everything, how could you not? I mean, I just don't know. I mean,
Well, you see his friends were such great sympathizers.
yes, I know, and they're not helping any,
No,
but now he, like where he said, I was a happy man spreading comfort among the mourners, now he's a mourner, right?
Is he mourning what
Is
he
mourning
lost?
He's-
what he lost?
he's lamenting.
Lamenting maybe, yes. Yes.
We used to get my words here. But he is looking back upon it and he's fondly remember, but it's just how he's doing it and he's not making any accusations. He's not charging anything to God. He's not blaming anyone. Anyone else? We all are quiet. Don't make me call. I had a class and we had a lawyer was a professor and he would allow us, and I probably told you this, he would go around the room and you were allowed to pass one time. So, but when he came back around to you with his question, you better have an answer. So I'm gonna start doing it.
The only thing he didn't lose was his wife, right?
No, she's gone.
Yes,
Oh,
you're
did
right.
she go too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he said that his wife came to him and said, "Why don't you just curse God and die?"
Yep. And then
That
she
was
was
early.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah,
okay. And then,
that was early
and
on
then
in the
she
story.
died too.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has lost everything.
Everything. Okay.
Well, chapter 30, if you're following along at home.
After reflecting on the delightful past, Job is suddenly thrust back into the dismal and disappointing present. Listen closely as you can almost hear him groan the words in his opening statement. But now, Job was wise enough to know that he had to face the reality of the present and not escape into the memory of the past. People who refuse to come to grips with life are in danger of losing touch with reality, and soon they lose touch with themselves. In verses 1 through 15, Job speaks of the young men who once stepped aside for him, now mock him and even spit in his face. The young men Job refers to were sons of men so despicable that Job compares their fathers to donkeys wandering in the desert. In verses 16 through 23, Job prays to God. He even stands and cries out for deliverance, but his prayers go unanswered. In verses 24 and 25, Job speaks to how he had faithfully helped others in their need, but now nobody will help him. He feels as though he's being treated like a leper who might contaminate them, or like a condemned man whom God may destroy at any time. In verses 26 through 28, Job speaks to his anticipation of enjoying a long and comfortable life and a peaceful death, but now that all has changed. In verses 29 through 31, Job speaks to how his words had once brought encouragement and hope to many, but now his words were like the howling of jackals and the moaning of owls and ostriches. All this because his hope is dead and his song has become a funeral dirge.
But now they mock me, these young men whose fathers I hold in such contempt. I wouldn't trust them with my herds as I do my dogs. What good does their strength do me? Their potency has wilted. Gaunt from starvation, haggard from hunger that drives them to gnaw the ground in the night. The ground all wasted, hollowed out. They are left with the desperate foods of the famished, plucking mallow from the bushes of the salt marshes, and making the ashy broom tree root their staple. People from the town chase each one out of his neighborhood. They howl at all of them as if they were common thieves, and push them out to live in the deep valleys of the wadis, those desert streams that come and go. So these outcasts seek shelter in the overhangs and the crumbling caves that line the banks of no man's land. Straying like donkeys from the bushes, huddled together in this prickly undergrowth, are fools and sons of no-names, driven by lashes out from the bosom of the land.
Even the fools and outcasts use Job's name as an insult. His character has been brought low by those who should be beneath him.
And now they sing of me in taunt and parody, and make my name a byword among them. They abhor me, they keep their distance, and feel free to spit in my face. Because God has unstrung his bowstring and stricken me with suffering, they are no longer restrained toward me. To my right, the horde arises. They seek to knock me off my feet, piling their disastrous ways against me. They lay waste to my path and benefit from my destruction, and no one is there to stop them. As through a wall breached, they advance easily. Their thunderstorm of wheels rolling across my ruins. Alas, a storm of terrors has turned toward me and is upon me. My dignity is blown away as by the wind. my prosperity vanishes like a wispy cloud. And now my own soul is drawn out and poured over. The days of misery have taken hold of me. I am firmly in their grasp. By night, my pain is at work, boring holes in my bones. It gnaws at me and never lies down to rest. With great force, God wraps around me like my clothing. He binds tightly about my neck as if he were the collar of my tunic. He has pushed me off into the mud, and I am reduced from man to dust and ashes. I call out to you, God, but you refuse to answer me. When I arise, you merely examine me. You have changed. Now you are cruel to me. You employ your strength to attack me. You pull me up into the wind and make me ride upon it until I am fractured and dissipated in a storm. I know where this ends. You will send me off to death and usher me to that meeting house where all the living one day go. And yet, does not a person trapped in the ruin stretch out his hand in the disaster? Does he not cry out for help? Did I not grieve for the hard days of another, or weep for the pains of the fourth? And yet, when I longed for the good, evil came. When I awaited the light, thick darkness arrived instead. I am boiling on the inside, and it will not quit. Yet the days of misery still come for me. I drift in darkness, the sun is absent. I arise in the assembly and call out for help. But who will come now that I am roaming the wilderness? I am a brother to jackals, a friend of ostriches. Despite my earnest cries, my skin burns until it is black like salt, and my bones burn with fever. And so my harp is tuned to the key of morning, and my flute is pitched to the sound of weeping.
I left these little notes on here. The A, B, and C, that's the places where the Hebrew meaning was a little bit uncertain. They weren't quite sure what they were referring to, so this is the best that they came up with. But he does do a great job of speaking to his pain. When he talks about boring holes in his bones. Just what kind of pain he is in mentally and physically. And he's challenging God. He's asking, what I do, and what are you doing? And we have time. Any other comments on chapter 30? It's a sad one. It's a sad lament. I mean, he's just spoken of his life before and how wonderful it was, and all of his great memories.
It sounds like he just doesn't believe in God now.
No, he does. He never does not believe,
I know, but
and he never considers taking his own life in this place. And that's the thing, is he holds on to his faith even though he doesn't understand. And to show he is questioning why. Earlier on, he was saying, well, God has this reason, that reason. Now he's asking why. He's wanting to know. So Job, this is sad news. Chapter 31 is your last. Excuse me. That is this concludes the words of Job. So this is your grand finale.
All right.
If you wanna do it, if you like, you can take a bow, or maybe have sign autographs at the end. What?
Maybe I'll just sing a little song.
Sing a little sonnet or something would be good.
Gloom, despair, and agony.
I always wondered where that song came from.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Okay, ready? I have made a sacred pledge with my eyes. How then could I stare at a young woman with desire? And what has God set aside for us from above? What is the heritage we can expect from the lofty God, the highest one? Has it not been made clear with these many years? Is there not supposed to be punishment poured out to the wicked and disaster on those wrongdoers? Does God not see the paths of my choosing? Does he not count every step that I take?
In this speech, Job is actually recording his deposition. He is calling God to come answer the charges he is laying out. Using a rigid format, Job explains away 8 areas of potential sin in his life. So certain is Job that he is innocent of wickedness, through a series of "if I have" statements, he actually pronounces curses upon himself if the all-knowing God finds him guilty of any of the sins. This ethereal courtroom procedure would be like any human going to a court to explain how he did not violate the law of the land and is prefacing his testimony with a proposed sentence of the death penalty if the judgment goes against him. Job will soon learn that it is never appropriate to assume he knows more about justice than God, the very author of justice.
If I have walked alongside lies, or if my feet have rushed down toward deception, then let God weigh me on a truly balanced set of scales. He will know and see my integrity. If my steps have veered off God's prescribed path, or if my heart has followed any of the evil my eyes have seen, or if my hands are soiled, then let me sow. But then let another one eat the produce. Let my sprouts be pulled up by the roots. If my heart has been seduced by another woman, or if I have waited for by a friend's door for a liaison with his wife, then let my wife be taken by another. To grind his grain or do whatever he pleases, and let the other men kneel down over him, because adultery is such a lewd, scandalous act, an offense punishable by the court. For it is a fire that burns until the destruction is complete. Had I done it, I would have undone all that I had gained. If I have refused justice to my servants, either male or female, when they have had cause for dispute with me, then what ought I do when God stands to judge me? How will I ever answer when God calls me to account for my action? Did not God who made me in my mother's womb make my servants as well? Is he not the same one who made us each in our mother's womb? If I have stood between the poor and the object of their desire, or if I have caused a widow to lose her love of life, or if I have eaten my food alone and not shared it with hungry orphans, indeed, from as far back as I can remember, I have cared for them all. From my youth, been a father to an orphan, with my own birth cared for the widow. If I have idly watched anyone die from exposure simply due to a lack of clothing, or seen the poor without any kind of cover. If ever people in such conditions did not physically bless and thank me for warming them up the fleeces of my own sheep, if I ever used my civic strength to condemn the fatherless, simply because I knew I had allies in the courts, then let my arm be pulled from its socket, let my forearm be snapped off at the elbow for raising it against the orphan. See, I've always dreaded the kind of disaster wrought by God. I was never able to withstand his majesty. If I have put my confidence in my sash of gold, if I have trusted in a metal so well refined, if I have exalted in my immense wealth, for I had accumulated so much, if I saw the sun in its radiant glory, or the moon sliding across the sky in its splendor, if such sights secretly seduced my heart and made my hand throw kisses to the false gods of sun and moon, and these things too have been punishable offensive, because they have shown me untrue to the love to God above. I have gloated at my enemy's downfall, or have been excited when he encountered evil. No, have not committed my mouth to sin by uttering a curse against his very life. I have my guests ever left my dwelling saying, anyone still hungry? But we didn't get enough to eat. I have Have I ever left foreigners to sleep outside? No, my door was always open to the traveler. If I have covered my sin as people do, or attempted to hide my wrongdoing in the recesses of my heart because of my fear of the opinion of the crowd, or my fright at the disdain of my family, and kept silent, hiding indoors away from all possible discovery of flaws, if only someone were listening. Now, here to these oaths, these curses, I make my signature. Let the highest one answer me. Let my adversary put his case in writing. If he does, I will place it on my shoulder for all to see. I will put it on my head and wear it like a crown. I would offer him an account of the steps I've taken along my life's path and approach him directly like a prince. If my land cries out against me, if my foes gather together to weep over my mistreatment of it, if I have eaten up the fruit of the land without payment to those who tend it, or exasperated the lives of the tenants, the farmers in pursuit of greater harvest, or in poor management of it, and let thistles grow instead of wheat, and stinkweed instead of barley. This concludes the words of Job.
Amen, right? And to address a question, to address a question he asked one day, why do I have all this reading? Well, it is the book of Job. You asked a question about, all these things happening to Job. What was the original, it wasn't Satan, Satan. What did he bet God?
He bet him that Job would curse him.
Yeah, he said, I bet that if you allow take down that hedge you have around him and allow these things to happen, he will surely curse you to your face. He hasn't.
Yes.
He has not. But the other part is that he admits that he has not sinned. He has stayed away from sinning the best he could. He has not led anyone to sin or led anyone astray. So this is his confession. This is how I've led my life. If my heart had been seduced by another woman, or if I have waited by a friend's door for a liaison with his wife. You know, he's listing all of these things that perhaps were very commonplace during these earlier days in the East. So he has laid it all out, and then we'll do when we get into the later chapters, we'll just pull out key verses, and unless there's good dialogue. Or someone wants to reprise their role, which there will be, but we'll hit these high spots as we go through it and pull out some nuggets of wisdom and teaching to them. No, any comments?
I've got a question.
What are those?
How long of a period do you think this covers? A day, a week, a month?
I don't know. Well, we know they sat there 7 days and 7 nights and never said a thing. So I don't know if their discussions went on into the night.
Sure.
If you go by our time, it's been a month.
But yeah,
A month of Wednesdays.
A month of Wednesdays.
but I think this was more or less a story, because I don't think a human could actually suffer like this. The way he explained it, all the pain he's had and all, everything that he's went through.
I guess it would have taken a little bit of time for the boils to come up and that sort of thing, but yeah, it couldn't be very long.
I mean, how long does it take?
You might put me on the spot.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But I mean, you think, the boils, just the dysentery, he's setting it that the ashes of that dung heap, hasn't eaten. So, I mean, who would want to? I don't think I'd have much of an appetite sitting there. But, so I don't know, it really doesn't give you any kind of timetable. I'll look into that. I've got books I have books just on Joe. It's interesting. They break a lot of it down. It's a thing. It's just a play. We started at 6.
It's just me being stylishly late.
No, stylishly late. Okay. You see the respect I get. Well, thank you all for tuning in. We're glad you're here. We would love for you to be here. I need help. They pick on me. But we'd love to have you here with us to join in our discussion. If you have any questions, put it there on our YouTube page, or just get on our. This looks so relaxed right here. Oh, I'm glad you could join us. But if you have any questions, go on our Facebook page and send a message to us. You will get an answer. We were very blessed to have served the number of meals we served last night. It was, 193? Or was it?
It ended up after deliveries, 203.
203 meals were
Wow.
delivered.
203 hot dogs.
So,
Wow.
and then you think, no more hot dogs left, and what do? You go over to Dairy Queen and get a hot dog. But just we were so blessed to have been able to do that. So thank you for joining us. Have a blessed week. Sunday morning at 9:30. Please come and see us. Or if you can't, for whatever reason, tune in the same page, channel, whatever it is. I don't know. I don't know enough about that. Same Winfield United Methodist Church time. Same Winfield United Methodist Church channel. Come and join us, and we'll be happy to have you. So have a blessed week. We'll see you soon.